Hello and welcome to Portsmouth Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Thursday night preview show. I'm your host, the Governor, and the country's just dropped some breaking news. Spurs are out. They certainly are, but the weekend is fast approaching. It's going to be a good weekend. I can feel it. Feel it in the waters. The beer will flow, the points will flow, and the good times will return. As I said yesterday on social media, for those that may have not seen it, a huge thank you to all those that contribute to the channel on a monthly basis. A huge 12,000 viewers last week. Just huge. Thank you ever so much to all those that tune in and continue to tune in. This is obviously our Thursday night preview show, and I'm joined by two wonderful people, and hopefully yourselves in the live chat. We've got Ryan Cartwright, we've got James is in the room. Welcome in, James, Matt and Matthew and Michael. Big Al. Good evening, Big Al. Harry Butcher. Evans out. Is that a breaking news, Harry, or are you giving an opinion? Because the way the one I'm all behind it. Rob Smith, the dog loves the show. Dogs don't come near me all day. The moment I hit the live button, here he is. Never ever misses a show. Alex Griffin, 2000 inbound. Yes, Alex, you know the first two is always the hard to get. After that, it's all plain sailing. I'm joking. I know it's not. I know it's not. I know you're the GOAT. I know you're the one. Right. Who's with me this evening? Well, first of all, we have, you give it, talk about 2,000 men. This man just needs 9 and he'll lead a revolution.
No. Pretty Caroline, stone cold stunner. She was a winner, started working at the dime. Service of reminder to count your blessings, cause it's telling fair. Put you down and leave you there, don't make them scared. Yeah, it's the
I don't know what to say on that, really, other than...
Which, funnily enough, was my exact reaction the last time you were on this show. I don't know what to say to that. Here he is. Here he is. The man that nearly single-handedly took the whole platform down in one sentence. How are you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yourself? You're looking a bit... Have you had a bit of a trim up tonight? Because you're looking less furry tonight.
No, I've not done anything. But
no?
Flattery will get you everywhere, sir. It truly will.
Try.
Are you looking forward to this weekend? Are you looking forward to the incoming points and good news?
Yeah, actually. I'm quite confident about this weekend.
Are you? You're quite... Ooh, Mike Brown confident for this weekend.
I know. I am. I don't know.
Is it the yearly promise?
Yeah. You'll get me into trouble, you will, Callie. You're bad influence.
Victoria Hannison, legend that is Mike, the Fisherman, sprinkling his glitter everywhere. Big Al, I don't know what Big Al put, but I don't want to know what. Spurs refuse to get dog as new mascot as they can't hold a lead. Right, let's complete the trio. New intro, new contributor, the legend that is, of course... Peaky, Mark Tuxford, welcome in, my man. How you doing?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Very well. Very excited for this weekend. Are you as confident as Mike, or are you still tender from Tuesday night?
I'm, to be honest, not as confident as Mike. I think they're just about to get Danny Cowley, aren't they? So if they get a new manager in, then it might be, the kick up the arse that they need in a way.
All confirmed now.
So I think the best we can really get there is probably a draw. Yeah. So I think it's just best what you can do is get a draw there. So yeah.
So you're all in on the on just the point we can get from that because of that new manager bounce. Is that what you feel? Because we didn't really get the new bounce. I mean, Gillingham was an absolute catastrophic disaster.
Yeah, I think with Portsmouth, they're a better side than us. I think anyway. I think they've got better players than us. But I think with Cook coming in, the new bounce obviously didn't work, but I just think that there's more to it than the players, the manager, and stuff like that. It's actually the club, and Ipswich as a club is not a well-run club at the moment. And I just feel that Portsmouth probably just needed decent managers to get them to the next level, and I think Cowley can bring that to them. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got a whole host of topics to discuss tonight. The wheel has never ever looked so full. Hopefully it works. Before I bring the wheel in, as it's a guest, I have got one more video clip ahead of tomorrow. You mentioned Portsmouth there and Danny Cowley. Something special on the channel. I am the Sitting Down with Portsmouth podcaster Freddie to run through the Portsmouth opposition to see what they're going to bring to the table, what we can expect. I've sat down. He didn't know what to expect himself, to be fair, Tux, but it's a really sort of enlightening conversation. Lots of stuff that you perhaps don't know about as a fan looking in at Portsmouth. Financial worries again, rearing their ugly head, sadly, for the club. Potentially why Cowley's only on a short-term contract. He goes into all of that. It's a really interesting sort of 20 minutes. That'll be live on the channel tomorrow. We do have an iFollow code to give away this evening as well, as I've just been notified, courtesy of Crunch on WhatsApp. Thank you very much, Crunch. I had forgotten it. You were correct to WhatsApp me for 3 points there. That is out tomorrow morning. I'll release it about 8 a.m. Cali. So we'll bring the wheel in. We'll do one topic on the wheel, and then we'll do the iFollow question, courtesy of our man Crunch. It wouldn't be an iFollow question without Crunch. Let's be brutally honest. Let's just go ahead and spin this wheel. See where it's taken us today. We've got a few throw it over Thursday topics on there. Oh, talking of new managers. Tux, kick us off. Charlton have appointed Nigel Adkins as new manager following Lee Bowyer's resignation to go and join with Birmingham. What can we expect from Adkins? Charlton, are you worried? Are you an Adkins fan? Talk to us about this one.
I think Nigel Adkins, to start off with, is a bad manager. I mean, he knows the Championship very well. I think he's done fairly well where he's sort of been, really. But, especially when he was at Southampton, obviously in the Premier League, I thought he got unfairly sacked there when Pochettino come in. But, yeah, with Charlton, they're a funny side. They're similar to us in a way where they just haven't really got going since they've left the Premier League. I don't think. They've sort of flirted the Championship and the League One, but yeah, ever since Coachley's left, like they've been really very poor. And I think they're like a point or a couple of points behind us in the table. So again,
point above us, two games less.
Yeah,
2 games more. Sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised if they then go on a bit of a run now and get some results to confirm their place in the playoffs potentially.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, isn't it, Mike? You've got 3 new managers: Adkins, Cowley's, Cook. This puts the pressure on Cook a little bit more, right? Because if we're the one team that falls completely flat, it's not going to be a great look, is it?
I know. Look, I mean, the game Tuesday wasn't great, was it? Let's be fair, but I don't know. It's. I just think that this is a bit like when Paul Cook came over. I think the Cowley's going to sit there on the stands and watch this game rather than be involved.
Mm.
Yeah, the Portsmouth players are going to be up for it, but they've been on an absolute horrid run, haven't they? I mean, they haven't won in 6 or 7, something silly like that. I don't know. I do. If the players can give themselves a bit of a kick up the backside, which they thoroughly deserve, to be quite honest, they do need a good kick up the backside. I do think that there's a good chance we could get a result. We talk about new manager bounce and that, but you know,
are you an Atkins fan?
Yeah, I'm with Tux. I think he was unfairly sacked from Southampton. I think he was doing a good
Big
job
time.
there. It was a strange decision to let him go. I think, you know, but that's sometimes the owners. You know, we've got an owner that seems to hang on to crap, and other owners seem to think, well, we'll get rid of something decent. You know, just that beggars belief. You know, but no, it's one of them, isn't it? Look, I'd have had Atkins or Cowley's or Cook here.
Cook,
you
yeah.
know.
3 good managers, 3 good clubs, and I do like Atkins. I don't know if I like him as a manager or as a man. I love his morning inspirational tweets where he does his little walk and he's got his porridge, and just I like the guy. He seems like a really down to earth, genuine guy. For anyone who may have come across him on social media, you'll know what I mean. As a manager at this level, yeah, but he's only got a certain sort of journey with him, haven't you, Tux? You know, you only take you a certain part of the way. But at this point, it's that what you want, isn't it? You just wanted to get you out of this league.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned Southampton there, but you know, ever since then, I mean, where has he been? I mean, he's been at Hull, didn't particularly do very well there. So, you know, a decent manager at this level, yes. You know, I would say as well that I thought Lee Bey was a decent manager, a decent young manager. You know, he got Charlton promoted in the playoffs against Sunderland, obviously, a couple of years ago. So, you know, he's not poor, but sometimes I think you can just potentially outstay your welcome a little bit, and obviously players get, you know, bored of the same old face, same old voice. And I think in a way, it's probably what happened to Lambert in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, moving on to the next topic. The Will has just thrown up a throw it over Thursday topic from Chris Peach. On Cook, will Cook be backed properly in the summer if Evans stays? Chris, thank you for that question. Mike, do you want to kick us off there? I know you're a big Marcus Evans supporter.
Look, I think I probably speak for 95% of the fan base. Do anybody have any faith in Marcus Evans investing in this club, as in real investment for players? You know, it's just not going to happen. You know, the most he's going to put in is £2 to £3 million. If people think that's enough to get, if we don't make it, if we don't get out of the league this year, and we're still in this league next year, that is not enough to get us out of this league. We have far too much dead wood in our squad, and 17 players or 16 players that are out of contract at the end of the season or got renewed. Probably 1, maybe 2 that might want to keep, but the rest are just dead wood. You know, Famers will be 36, Scoos will be 36. They can't stay another year, really. They just can't. Should have gone 2 years ago.
Thing is, though, Tux, regardless of what division this football club finds itself in next summer, or this summer rather, investment is going to be needed because you've got 15 players out of contract. The ones that are left haven't made the necessary step forward with their progression. So whatever way you shake it, whatever division you're in, you're going to need investment, and big investment, I would say. Yeah,
well, I completely agree with Mike there. You know, hit it the nail on the head there. That, you know, at the end of the day, if Evans stays here, he's not going to put the money into the club. If he puts it in, it'll be a couple of million. But you know, what does that get you in football these days? You know, that gets you a Hawkins, don't it? That gets you a Ward, a journeyman, or someone who, you know, that kind of player. But you know, it's regardless of what league we're in, there does need to be change in terms of the squad. And you know, as you said right there, you know, Skuse and Chambers, they're getting old now, and you know, we need a fresh approach. You know, it's all very well keeping these type of players who have been good servants, by the way, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it's been failure, isn't it? You know, they've kind of took us down a little bit. So change needs to happen.
I saw someone posted something the other day on social media about Cole Skuse and Luke Chambers, and it's a good time to bring it up. They said there hasn't been anybody step forward and take their places. Now, today I heard Nigel Atkins talking about a pathway and a clear pathway for young players to go from academy to first team. Has there been a lack of people stepping forward, or has the pathway been blocked by two senior pros that, for the large part, have never been injured, never really played catastrophically poor that you would say, 4 out of 10 for the last 4 weeks, get them out. They've always been a 6, 4, 5, 10, a consistent number out of 10. Has that really been the issue? As I said a couple of weeks ago, that they've just been the consistent there. So a manager with a limited budget hasn't needed to go and spend something they haven't got and replacing someone they don't need to.
I think there's two sides of the coin here. I think there's the fact that, you get the players coming from the Premier League clubs, McGuinness, Matheson, whoever, even back in the day when you had sort of like players like Andros Townsend, Jake Livermore coming in, they're blocking those kind of players from our academy to then go into the first team. However, there still has been other players that have come through, such as Dazelle, Bishop, Downs, all those kind of players, Lancaster, whoever. But have they really taken their chance that much? I don't think Dazelle's actually taken his chance until probably this season when he's actually started all of the games, near enough. So there's two sides of that coin, really. Is the academy players in our academy good enough? But also, do they have the chance there? Probably not.
I think Dazelle's had more than enough chance this season to prove that he is, a quality midfielder. Whether he's been played in the right position, that's either here or there. I think, whether he plays holding or he plays further forward, and Cruncher and myself both agree, and most people do, that he should be playing further forward. But, he'll make one decent pass out of probably 5 or 6, and then he'll do the Hollywood pass, which, unless you've got a Hollywood player on the end of it, that's not really going to go anywhere. I just can't see. I think somebody said the other day about Dazelle, is he too good? Is he too good for our team, or is he not suited to this league? He's
a luxury player, Mike. That's the thing. He's a luxury player, and I don't think this squad or how we played under Lambert can really accommodate these kind of luxury players all the time. Yes, he wanted to get the ball on the ground and pass it around and stuff like that. But really, sometimes you just have to have that nasty streak in you a little bit. And I don't think the likes of Bishop and Dazelle have that. They can't tackle to save their lives. They're not defensive midfield players. They look forward all the time, okay, but you need to have that little bit of, that nasty bit in you. You do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you do. You're right.
For me, Dazelle's far too lightweight. He's far too lightweight, and I mean, Downs is probably the most natural holding midfielder we've got. The club, I think. He can tackle, although he got red carded. But I do think he can tackle. He can. I think he could be a leader. I do. But the problem is, there's far too many players again this season underperformed. You'll get one performance out of one player. The most consistent player really since he came into the lineup has been Kenlock, apart from obviously, this week, this Tuesday just gone. And for me, he's been stuck in the reserves or whatever, and he's played there, and he's sort of not had his chance, and then he's given his chance, and boom, he's grabbed it with both feet. And produce some really good performances. The problem is like you say, if you've got, I don't get why Dazelle's being dropped so deep. When he has played forward, I thought, you know what? Yeah, he looks good. But when he's playing in that holding, he looks woefully light. And you're right, Tux. He cannot in a million years tackle.
No, you certainly can't. No. Lee Anderson says build a team around Dazelle. Ian Forsdyke, Dazelle alongside Downs works. Needs to be further forward. We have bigger issues to resolve than him. Mike D, welcome in, Mike. I feel Judge falls into the same category as Bishop and Dazelle. Yeah. David Pascoe and a Cook side with good movement in front of him. Dazelle could flourish. Lots of people not willing to give up yet on Dazelle. Chris Peachy, who gave us the first Thriver Thursday question. Brett McGowan has always done a good job when he's played. Certainly, he's not having a great loan spell, so I hear. Ashley Bell, welcome in, Ash. Dazelle is the most technically gifted player at the club. You don't play for England under-20s and win trophies with them on your dad's name. Well, Roy Keane does.
Yeah, you do.
Does say you can get a cap just for trapping the
No,
ball.
I don't
these
agree with
days.
that comment whatsoever. I mean, look, it's his opinion. I get that, but no, we can't. I'm not having. We need to build a team around Andre. I'm sorry, no. You know, that to me is wrong. It's you know, that's everything wrong with the club. We can't. How many towards the end of last season, we need to build the same comments were coming up. We need to build a team around Giselle. Start of the season, we need to build a team around. He's done nothing of any sort. He's been an average League One player. There's been far better players than him in this league playing for other clubs. You know,
I'm not sure I've seen enough to build around him, Tux. Have you? Yeah. Have you seen enough to say, yep, that's the man I want to build my team around moving forward?
No, definitely not. I agree with Mike. I think it's he shows flashes of brilliance. He's got that pass in his locker where he can find that that killer ball. But really, his all-round game, he's more than a passenger most of the time. But I just feel that, like us fans, us Ipswich fans, we get wrapped up in the fact that obviously his dad was Jason and he played so many games for the club and everything else. And it's exactly the same with Richard Wright. Loads of people are calling for Harry Wright to go in goal. Like, has anyone actually seen this kid play? Because he's not tall enough. He's not tall enough, though, is he? That's the thing. You have to be quite tall to be a goalkeeper these days. Yes, okay, you can be good with your feet, but ultimately, the only reason why people are calling for that is because his dad's Richard. So, it's based on sentiment at the end of the day, isn't it? We can't go for the sentiment sort of touches, and we can't bring back players. You have to go forwards.
Yeah, 100%. George asks, who would you build a team around? I don't know if it's actually here. Like, it's a transition year. It's a big year in the summer. I don't see somebody in this squad, Mike. I don't know about yourself, that I would say, yeah, I'll build a team around him. It's not there for me.
Here, Giselle will flourish if he has good players around him, but that's a problem. There isn't any. Well, so are you saying then you need to be you've got to have good players to shine then? Surely, if you're a good player, you stand out. Surely, if you're a good player, you are the one that everybody notices. Well, sorry, but I've seen far too many games. Look, Giselle has it's always been about potential with Giselle, and I've yet to see him reach anywhere near the potential, that hype that surrounded him. And I just think that you can't build a team around one player like that. And I and Harry Wright, what is he? 5'10", 5'11"?
Yeah.
Paul Cooper
again, though, but another young player, Mike, that didn't have a great loan spell. These players go away from Portman Road. They have the chance where nobody knows who they are, nobody cares who they are, just to get by on their ability. And again, the same way we're hearing about, I think it's McGavin up in Scotland not having the greatest of times or not getting in the team or whatever. Harry Wright didn't get in the team in Sweden. Like, there's something wrong when these players go away from Portman Road and don't light it up.
I mean, it's difficult when, in Harry Wright's instance, obviously he's gone away to Sweden, different country. He's got to take in all of the, the culture and experience and all that kind of thing. So it can be a bit different. But at the same time, if you're a footballer, you need to take your chance wherever you are. Ipswich, Sweden, wherever. You need to play games and stuff. Especially if you're a goalkeeper, you need to get in that team and cement your place in there. But if you're not playing and you're not showing your ability, there's only so much you can do in training. And I wouldn't be surprised if Harry goes at the end of the season because his contract's up at the end of the season. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, and just to finish on Denzel, I do get the points they're making in the chat there, Mike, about he needs better players around him. But while Ipswich Town remain a third-tier side, that's never going to happen. So what do you do? Because you're never going to get these better players that he needs. But you know what I mean? You're not going to get it in any window, under any owner, even the consortium. If they brought 100 million quid, you're still not going to tempt the better players from the top end of the championship to come and play for a third-tier football club if we're still in the third tier, are you? So
I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to better players. We're sitting here talking about our young players being out on loan, and they're not, shining. You could ask the question: are they good enough?
That's the question. That is right. Let's play the follow question.
Is our players coming through good enough?
No, and that's where we're reaching the point where the pipeline of talent is run dry, and if Evans is still here in the summer, it's going to be a sort of a turbulent summer. Right. I follow question courtesy of Crunch. The first person, as always, to get this correct wins an I follow code for this weekend's game. Crunch, over to you.
So the question to win the I follow pass for Saturday's game against Portsmouth is as follows. In September 1958, Ray Crawford signed for Ipswich Town from Portsmouth. What was the transfer fee? The first correct answer will win the I follow pass. Good luck.
1950 what? How far back has he gone for that? Jesus, man.
I ain't got a clue. I'm just gonna throw it out there. £540
and 23p. Right. Throw it over Thursday. TJ asks, are we better to get promoted and try and rebuild at the risk of getting pounded each week? Or will we be better off in League One, starting from scratch and having a go in a worse league? So rebuild year, but which is the best thing, Tux? Rebuilding the Championship and the risk of getting pounded every week, or rebuilding League One in a lesser league?
I just wouldn't take anything less than, Championship. We need to be back in that league. It's as simple as that. If we want to keep players like Downs or whoever else, or the players that are good for this club, right? If you want to keep those players, you need to be back in the Championship. If you want to attract better players, you need to be back in the Championship. If we stay in League One, not just for this season but continuous seasons, and have this like rebuild under Paul Cook, then what's that? It's a bit like the debate I was having the other week when fans were saying a couple of years ago, "Oh, we need to go down to League One to regroup and stuff like that." What a load of bullshit! Like what? Someone tell me how this has worked.
Don't mince your words.
How has this worked? How has this worked? Like we're in League One, we're struggling to even get in the playoffs, right? On a consistent basis. As Paul Cook said the other day, we are consistently inconsistent, right? And he's hit the nail on the head. We've been like that for God knows how long. So no, I'd be back in the Championship without a doubt. I don't, you could have my dad playing up front if you want, as long as we're back in the Championship. That's all I'm bothered about.
He's probably more mobile than what we've got up front. Let's be honest. Fisherman, how about you?
I was one of them fans. I always felt that we were on a decline anyway under Evans. It was a foresight of looking back at some of my memories on my Facebook, and I looked back to sort of, was it second from last season to McCarthy, and I thought, we're heading to League One. And maybe in my head, even after McCarthy left, and it was on the sort of cards pretty much. I thought, maybe, we go down to League One, maybe Evans will actually invest. We'll have a bit of money from Evans. I thought, Evans came out with his 5-point plan, and, we'll have a bit of money and there's a good chance we'll bounce back. But, the reality is we are where we are. If we get promoted, we'll be in a better position. Well, if we get promoted with a new owner, we'll be in a far better position than Wickham, that's for certain, because more higher caliber players are going to want to come to Ipswich than they have gone to Wickham. No disrespect to Wickham and Wickham fans and everything, but we are, history based. We're a bigger club, and fan base, I would say. But if we end up staying in this league and we can rebuild and go up with a more consistent team, a team that's consistently performing each week, there's a better chance that we will stay up. And maybe, look, people say, "Oh, we need to do a Norwich." We were never going to do a Norwich in a million years. Back-to-back promotions, it was never going to happen. The reality is we are where we are. If we get promoted, look, I want us promoted. I'd rather rebuild in the Championship. Do I think we'll get promoted this season? That's a 50-50. That's a flip of a 50p.
We don't do a Norwich because Norwich had ruthless ambition that year. They had Brian Gunn, club legend. They gave him, I wouldn't say an open checkbook, but they signed a fair number of players. They played a couple of games. Delia Smith said, "This ain't working. This ain't going to work. Gunny, you're a legend, but adios, amigo." We would never in a million years do that.
What's the common denominator here, right? You look at the clubs that have been successful, if they have got relegated, or have gone back up. So you look at Sheffield United, you look at Norwich, you look at, I don't know, Southampton and all that lot, right? Decent, well-run clubs, yeah? But the clubs that have failed to do that, i.e. the Charltons of this world, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Ipswich, what have they all got in common? They're poorly run clubs. That's why they haven't gone back up straight away, because they're poorly run clubs.
No,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Cruncher says Gunny did lose 7-1 at home to Colchester. Yeah, but as I just know Town would have said, "Oh, he's a young manager cutting his teeth. He'll be all right," and they would have laboured on, and then who knows where that show would have taken.
36 games under Paul Lambert with a no better record than Paul Hurst. Yeah, that said everything. We needed to know really on that. Didn't
I always worried about going down to League One, because I always knew what the club was like, and I knew we'd stagnate in League One, and we'd just lower our own ambitions and stop trying to achieve and it's proved to be true. But back to TJ's question, I'd rather go up and risk getting pounded every single week, because you're fishing, to use your fisherman here, you're fishing in a bigger pond with better players, and give me a striker like Luke Varney when we had him in the Championship over Ollie Hawkins or Aaron Drinnan, and I couldn't stand Luke Varney. I'll throw it out there, but I'd take him every day of the week over the two we've currently got. But you wouldn't have got that. Well, you would do now, because he's much older. But back then, you certainly wouldn't have done. Right, back to the wheel. But yeah, take me getting promoted. We need to get promoted, particularly if these investors do come in. I feel I'd rather be going into a new summer after a COVID year with clubs needing to sell with a bit of money and a bit of nous and a bit of plan, and being on the front foot for once, instead of being on the back foot. I just know it's typical Town, though, that we probably won't. Onto this weekend. Before we do, is it right? Because it's been a conversation all through the week this week. Is it right to have doubts or question Paul Cook this early in his managerial reign? I'll lead, if that's okay, gentlemen, because I did have doubt. I did have a doubt. I wasn't a fan, and I'm still not a fan, of Stephen Ward coming on for Miles Kenlock while you're 2-0 down. I firmly believe. You can tell me Stephen Ward had our first shot on target or first shot or whatever. I don't care. We're chasing a goal. Is he going to get a goal? Is he the man to get us that goal? No. That showed to me a little bit of stubbornness, not being flexible with the squad. And I'm just thinking, everyone keeps saying, it's a free hit. Paul Cook will mould it in the summer. Well, I've had the last 8 months, guys, of people telling me this season is vital, screaming at me that I was too slow with Lambert. It's vital we get out of this division. So what's changed now? Because we're only a point outside the top 6. So why are we as a fan base seemingly stepping back and saying, doesn't really matter now? But if this was a bottom of the table clash and we were third from bottom, we're looking at fourth from bottom and thinking, it's still achievable. It's still doable. It's still there. It's still... So what's happening here? Is it right to have the doubts? And talk me through these. Who wants to lead off first?
I think in regards to things like sort of Stephen Ward and things like that, I think at the end of the day, he's still got to look at the players, because, at the end of the day, he is only having sort of minimal training sessions with them. Okay, the matches are coming thick and fast. So in some cases, he gets to judge his players even quicker. But, they all have to play, and he's got a big squad there to choose from. And for me, I don't think this is a free pass at all. I still think that it's vital that we get promotion, or at least in the playoffs. But if we don't, will he get sacked in the season? No, of course he won't. This is a future appointment, and he's going to have time to get that right. If one thing I will say for Evans is that he does give managers time, rightly or wrongly, and I think Cook's going to get that time to do that. But it's still frustrating when we're sitting here, not being able to, last 3 games, okay, we've got some points on the board, but they weren't convincing, were they? Even at Plymouth, that wasn't particularly convincing. Okay, Plymouth had a shit 20 minutes to start off with, but other than that, it's not been convincing, is it? And this is a problem. It's the players, isn't it? It's the players that aren't good enough. But who brought those players in? It's a mixture of Lambert. It's a mixture of Paul Hurst, a mixture of Mick McCarthy. And when you've got 3 managers of players there, you know, they're not your players. They're not, you know, he'll have time in the summer to bring his own players in. And the beauty of these players running down their contracts and stuff like that is he can just get rid of those players and bring his own players in to work with.
Mike, you felt passionately about Lambert. You were one of the main drivers of the 10% is all you need out of this squad to be a top 6 force. He's not coaching them right. He's not doing it right. Was he actually, in theory, getting the most out of this squad that anyone's going to get out of them in? Or do you subscribe to that, actually, you know, Paul Cook needs to get us in top 6 minimum?
Look, I was happy Paul Cook's here. I'm still happy he's here. My question is, what's changed? Because I haven't seen anything that's changed that would suggest to me that a new manager's come in and changed much. Yeah. We've still got the same players being played. We've still got the same sort of formation as such. It's a little bit, Proper riled me on Tuesday when he took off Kenlock, and someone put in the comments about Kenlock was poor. Well, you could argue that the whole bloody team was poor. You could have taken off Jackson and put Ward up front because he was poor. You could have put him in goal. Because Holy was poor. The reality is, Stephen Ward on for Kenlock. He's either made him either Kenlock's having a rest, and that was why he did it. For me, it was a very strange substitution. We were losing the game, and it just kind of felt okay. Well, we lost this game. Move on to the next one. That's what made me feel. The jury's out with Cook, and we can't give him a free pass. No way. Why should you give any manager a free pass? You come in, you're well paid to do the job. Go in there and do the job. If that means upsetting a few of the players, the senior players, tough. Get on with it. Grow up, lads. Get out there. In the 110% us fans want. It's bullshit to sit there and watch. Have to watch what we watched Tuesday. No, it's not good enough. We're all passionate Ipswich fans. Just stop giving us that crap. You're paid well for this league. You're professional footballers. Start acting like it.
Absolutely. It's not about how well Miles Kenlock played for me. It's about the fact you were 2-0 down, and when he brought Stephen Ward on, for me, you still had, from memory, Lancaster on the bench. You still had Bishop on the bench because he didn't come on to the 83rd minute, I think. You had Bennett, you had Drinnan. You had players, Tux, that could change a game. And I just wonder what our conversation would be like on the 18th of March at 9:10 had Lambert made that up.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot different. And, I don't think the response is any different. I don't think anyone really agrees with the fact Ward came on for Kenlock. I think ultimately when I look at it, it might be just, based on, giving him a rest maybe, because I can't honestly see any other reason why. Other than the fact that obviously Ward used to be a left winger, he's a little bit more attacking potentially, but gone are those days because that's when he was doing that at bloody Burnley or Wolves or wherever. So I don't know. It was a strange substitution, especially when you have more attacking options on the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested because as somebody who's been slow and admittedly slow to turn on the previous manager, now we have gotten somebody else in. I just want to know or get a feel for where the fan base's pulse is, because it was a must go up season, and now I'm sort of being met with the resistance of, well, we've changed the manager too late almost now, so it almost don't matter and don't care. But the club's balance sheet will still read somebody got paid money that's not a striker. That worries me. That upsets me a little bit. We could have just sat on our hands and said, well, let it play out. But we'll see. I just want to get a pulse where the fan base is currently. Looking at this weekend, what do we expect? Portsmouth, obviously a club that were, for such a long period of time, it felt above us in the league table. Now you look at it and they're beneath us. Even Freddie himself said it just happened so quickly, really. It was the run of form they dropped off. Do we expect to get 3 points at the weekend? Would you take a Mick McCarthy point and not bother getting on the bus tomorrow night? What would you do, Mike?
Oh, got to get 3 points. What's the point of travelling all up there, all the way down there, and not bother to get 3 points? The players have got to get off they've got to get their head straight. They've got to get their mentality right. You know, they're mentally weak. If they can't go down there and and get 3 points, what's the point of them playing the game? They might say, "Oh, yeah, have the 3 points and we'll go home." You know, they're there for the taking. They haven't had a great run of form, as I said earlier. They are there for the taking, and it's about time our players, and that includes the young ones, because I think some of the young ones, some of our younger players that have come through have had a bit of a free run. You know, and that includes Jack Lancaster. I like that boy, I really do. But he's got to start. If he does get a start, he's got to put in more than I've seen the last time he came on. Yeah. You know, and I do like Jack. I do really. I've watched him a lot, and I think he's got something about him. But having something about him and actually putting it on the pitch are two different things. You know, I would have taken Dazelle off at the weekend. I'd have had him off. Sort of probably 10 minutes into the second half. You know, bring Bish on then, and I think we may have got back into the game. You know, but you were right. If that had been Lambert, I'd have hammered him. Absolutely hammered him. Yeah. Going back to that.
But then Mark, he was much further down the line and had lost the will of the fans. Paul Cook hasn't. So on this weekend, do you expect many wholesale? I mean, because obviously he kept them, I think, behind after the game on Tuesday. No one came out for media duties. He made a couple of interesting remarks in the press, something along the lines of, you have to be big enough to wear this shirt, or there comes big responsibility with this shirt, or something along those lines. So do you expect a big response, but B, wholesale changes, or do you expect no changes and out you go, lads, prove the world and me wrong?
I think we need some.
I don't expect a big reaction at all, because I haven't seen a reaction from the players since Paul Cook has come in as manager. So I can't see why that's going to change now. I think the mentality of these players is weak, as Mike said, and something's got to change within the club. It's not Paul Cook, it's not Paul Lambert, it's within the club that there's something very, very wrong there. But looking ahead to Portsmouth, I said at the start of the programme that I think the best we can get is a point. With Cowley coming in, I think they will have the new manager bounce, and the best I think we can get there is a point. But yeah, I just for me, I struggle to see what these players offer me at the moment. Never mind bloody Paul Cook, what the players offer our fan base at the moment. And I just don't see any passion there. I don't see a will to win. I don't see anything like that. Okay, yeah, sometimes they come back from a goal down that they've conceded in the first half. But how many goals have we conceded early on in the first half in the last few games? It's ridiculous. Like, that should not be happening. Once in a blue moon, fair enough. But, 3 or 4 times on the bounce.
They're not fighters. Look at the way they start games, Mark. I think Paul Cook said it so himself. Stanley game, we started poorly. Fleetwood game, we started poorly. We start poorly. And to be fair, we started poorly in games for a lot of years, it seems now. But we start flat. We start back-footed. We start ponderous. We're not a great team. And I think Craig sort of sums it up nicely here. This team has failed to create chances all season. It's the personnel. We have an imbalance in this team. We don't have flair players in the right areas. We don't have clinical goal scorers. Nor has had enough time here, but we do not create enough. A new manager, Inigo Magnus, are able to create chances. No, and I've said all season this squad's not good enough. And I kept saying this squad isn't actually as good as people keep painting it to be. And it hasn't changed under a new manager. Because it isn't good, Mike. It isn't. You don't create chances. You haven't got goal scorers. You don't have good defenders. You don't have pace. You don't have intelligence. You've got nothing.
It comes down to round pegs. Round pegs and square holes, doesn't it?
All right.
Judge's best position, we all know, is behind. Is that behind the strikers or behind? Yeah, that's his best position. So why is he playing left wing?
Yeah,
Dazelle was not a holding midfielder. Dazelle's not a holding midfielder. So why is he playing Dazelle as a holding midfielder?
A lot of our midfielders are all attacking midfielders, aren't they? They're all that central attacking midfielder. You look at Bishop, you look at Judge, Dazelle, whoever else is there. Harrop as well. They're all the player that plays in that number 10 role. They're not central midfielders at the end of the day. So this is where it's, we need to look at the actual way we're going to play. And if he wants to play a 4-2-3-1, fine. But we need the players to play that way.
on.
You know, as Jose Mourinho once said, you need a player for every position. You know, a 2 players for every position. Sorry, and we don't have that. We have like 4 players in the central attacking midfield role, 1 to CDM in Scouse, and down to the central midfielder. That's not a team, is it? At the end of the day, this team, if you like, this squad of players are decent individuals on their day. Like you take Caden Jackson, for example. If he goes somewhere like a Huddersfield, I guarantee you score goals because they'll play a striker next to him, and we'll see what he was doing last season outside Norway, where he would score quite a few goals. But this is what I mean. We play square pegs and round holes, and it's not good enough.
It'd be quite interesting to see what happens with Dazelle under Paul Cook now, because does he keep him as a holder? Does he move him slightly forward? Does he drop him altogether? You know, if Andre Dazelle sees out this season as a holding midfield player, then you have to start thinking maybe that's where his best position, maybe here's where he feels his best position is, because he won't have been the first or the last manager to play Andre in a holding role, will he? We all say, or Mike says he should be played further forward, but let's see what happens. You know, especially with Troy Parrott missing the Wigan game now, there is a hole there. So if you did feel it, Paul Cook, for example, there's an opportunity there to go and do it without taking out a performer. And Troy Parrott has been performing. I think we'll all agree on that one. He has played fairly well.
Yeah,
so
he's done all right.
Would Holy keep his shirt? And by the way, whoever did the mannequin challenge on Thomas Holy, just a round of applause. I take my hat off to you, because I genuinely laughed quite loudly with coffee in my mouth when I saw it. It was good. So would you keep Holy in goal, the pair of you? Or would you give Dynot Cornell his long-awaited start?
I mean, I think Holy deserves his criticism, but at the same time, he's come out of his area and he's dealt with things. But it's the diving down to save a potential goal that's the issue. And because he's so tall, I think he struggles to get down. But on the other hand of it, you know, you've got Cornell that could come in, but I mean, he's not particularly shown me anything there that, you know, makes me think that he deserves that number 1 spot. Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, neither of them are number 1 goalkeepers in my eyes for this club. Anyway, I think they're both, you know, decent enough, like understudies, but we need someone that's going to come in and be that goalkeeper. But at the same time, Lambert has shot both of their confidence to pieces. I think, like, you know, it's, even with last season with Norris. You know, a goalkeeper should be your number 1 name on that team sheet every week in, week out, right? Okay, you'll make a mistake, because goalkeepers do, right? But at the same time, he needs to have that confidence from his manager to say, yeah, you're my number 1 for the season. Unless you get injured, you know, thingy's coming in or whatever. So there's been none of that, has there? You know, in the last couple of years, since Bart really, and even to a certain extent, Bart wasn't the number 1 really, because Gherkin would come in here and there. So there's never been that goalkeeper that's just been there to be that number 1, and I think that's part of the problem. That the confidence has been shot to shell from this squad a lot, and that's the chopping and changing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing a Holy offers is it really is his ability to kick the ball from one area to the other. I mean
but they've stopped doing that. They want to play it short now. So his best ability, you've now told him not to do anymore.
I know, but what I'm saying is this all he's got, you know?
Yeah.
You know, oh my
God. There was a lot of
there
was a lot of kicking. There was a lot of kicking up to Jackson on Tuesday night. Why are we kicking up to bloody Jackson for? He's not going to be able to run in because the back 4 stood back, so he couldn't do that. So when you're still lumping it long to him, the 2 defenders, it's meat and drink to them all night, isn't it? You know, what's the point? And that's why Norwood is our main striker, our best striker, because he can hold that ball up. Okay, yes, he hasn't scored as many goals as we've liked him to, but we are a totally different side when Norwood is up front.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody mentions Carl Brooks. I'd play Jimmy Walker in goal. You have to wonder as a coach, though, when you say Norris didn't really do much, you say Cornell hasn't really progressed much, if at all. Nor you know, Holy as well. At some point, you have to stop and say, is the coaching there getting good enough? Yeah. Are you seeing the progression?
Recruitment, is it?
I mean, well, Holy was brought in, Mike. Holy was brought in as this player we could develop. this project. Has he
Why would
developed
you
in
bring
the
a
time he's
player
been
in
there?
that's conceded 73 goals at his previous club? Why would you
He
bring a
wasn't
goalkeeper in?
getting any goalkeeper coaching. Wasn't getting any.
Doesn't matter. So we're supposed to develop a player that's conceded 73 goals. Have you watched some of the videos of when he was at Gillingham?
I ain't got to watch videos, Matt. I've seen him. I don't want to watch any more of him.
I cannot get my head around
absolutely
it.
have to. I promise you.
When we signed him, me and my son were talking, and we were like, "Why have we signed him? 73 goals he conceded. Okay, you could argue the defence, but I mean, you have to question whether he could have actually. I mean, after seeing some of the shots he's watched go by him into the back of the net recently, you have to question whether he's actually a goalkeeper at all. Yeah. I mean, look, Cornell for me is probably the better one out of the two. That's just my opinion, and I get people have, again, a question there. If he's 27, why are we developing Holy? We should be developing Holy at the age of 27. He should be already a sustained goalie, but he isn't. And we've got Chambers on the right, or as I call him, the Scania of the club, because I've seen Arctic's turn quicker than him, and he's getting found out. I know. Look, I'm not a great.
He ain't getting found out. He got found out many years ago. He's been
well and truly found out for the last 3 years. That would be the change. I'd change him. I would bring on that young right back who would have put with a bit of pace. We need somebody like that.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to use Matheson now. I don't think he's going to use any of the lone players.
We talk about two players for one position. We got it, and we're still playing a 35-year-old right back who's getting steamed every game by pacey players.
But I think Paul Cook's looking at the bigger picture now. He'll say that he's looking at this season, but I think he's looking at the bigger picture. He's looking at those players that can actually play for him next season. And I don't think Chambers is probably going to be one of them, but you've got to play someone. And I don't think
he's your leader
or any of the and I don't think any of the lone players are going to play.
Whether you like him or not, he's the leader of this group of players. I'm not a massive fan of the player.
He's never been a good leader. I'm sorry, but all the fist pumps in the world don't make him a good leader. He's never been a particularly great footballer. He's been an average footballer in an average championship side. Right?
I don't know. I think I'd have to disagree. I think in terms of his leadership on the pitch, sometimes questionable, yes. But you ask a lot of the former players. I saw an interview with Adam Webster the other day, who's now at Brighton. He said the best captain he's played under is Luke Chambers by country mile, and the off-pitch stuff that he does. Running that bloody Airbnb that he does at his house and all that sort of stuff, right? You shouldn't have to do that as a player, never mind a captain, right? But he's still doing that. So I wouldn't ever question his loyalty to our club. There's a
difference between loyalty and being a good captain.
Yes, no, true. But at the same time, as a player, he has done now at this club. Like the only reason why he is where he is now, playing in the team, is because he is our captain. He is the longevity player that that sometimes we require, but he won't be here next season. He shouldn't be anyway.
Which is why he'll probably play right back, Mike, because he's the captain.
He's done some great things with the kids, and I get that. Yeah, he's been nice behind the scenes. Yeah, so become a carer, Chambers, because on the pitch you've done nothing, mate. That's the bottom line, and it's not about what you do behind. Okay, you could argue it's what you do behind the scenes. Then fine, retire and do that behind the scenes. But actually, on the pitch, I see nothing out of him as a leader ever. I've yet to see Chambers scoring the odd goal here. Doesn't make him no other championship player, championship club or any other clubs come in for him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. We'll run through the rest of the back for NCR and Wilson. Yes and no for you two?
Oh, yeah, got to keep them two. They're consistent, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I think the jury's still out for me with NCR. I think, he reminds me so much of Titus Bramble. He's always got a mistake in him. And I know a lot of the other players do, but it's just, I just think he's too much of a liability. For me, I wouldn't have him anywhere near the squad next season. And yes, he has played well. Don't get me wrong, he has played well in certain games, but it's the consistency again. He's not a consistent performer. Whereas on the other hand, I think James Wilson is criminally underrated. I think he's a quality centre back. I don't think he's the first choice for next season, and there's a reason why he obviously got released by Lincoln. But since he's been here, he's been very good, and I don't think he's ever let me down from a 7 or at least a 7 out of 10. And
Wilson's very good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very. I do like him, but Enciala is one of them players. He's a good League One player. He'll never be a Championship player.
Yeah.
That's the way I see Enciala.
Okay. Left back, Miles Kenlock still?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go into midfield, guys, we are only 3 away from 2,000 subscribers. So please, if you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, there is a link now in the chat. Please head to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Only 3 away from 2,000. Do it now, and then Cruncher can have a rest all weekend from saying, subscribe to the channel, please. We're closing on 2,000. Midfield. Andre and Downs. Oh, sorry. Christ. That was a good flashback. Andre and... Oh, Christ. Fucking... All right, I'll let you two take this one away. Who do you play in midfield? I'm not even going to say his name.
I thought it was a difficult night for Scoos the other night. It was a difficult night for everyone because it was shit. But
yeah,
at the same time...
him.
I don't know. I'd probably start him again just purely because he's the only player that can play that position for me. I would rather have Scoos there than Bishop, if I'm honest. But obviously in the midfield, I'll probably have Scoos, maybe certainly Dazelle, maybe Bishop in the hole. I struggle to see who out wide really. I mean, if Guion injured or not?
No, I don't believe so. I haven't. No, I don't believe so.
Because he went off, didn't he, on Tuesday? But if he's fit, then obviously Guion.
Look into it.
But I don't know. I mean, it's difficult.
David says Holland and Midgelton.
I'd quite like to, like Mike said earlier about Judge. Right, he needs to play in the middle for me if he's going to actually have an effect on this team. Out wide again, he was abysmal on the left the other night. And he has been all the time. It's played out on the left or out wide or whatever. He just needs to play in the middle, his best position, and just let him crack on with it. Failing that, otherwise it's got to be Bishop. But again, if Bishop goes and plays out wide, he's completely ineffective as well.
Okay, Mike.
I hate to say this, but we need a holding mid, and Scoos is fit. He's our holding mid. Got to have him, and I'd play Judge over to Zell, and in that midfield, 100%. I think, I think it was Brandon mentioned the fact, if you turn off the commentators, you listen to the game, and all you hear is Chambers. Actually, no, all I ever hear is either one of the centre backs or when Judge is playing, him shouting, and there's some Norwood. When Norwood's on there, all I hear is him. I don't hear Chambers say bugger all to be quiet.
Are you playing Chambers in midfield, Mike? Because if not, we've moved on from Luke Chambers.
No. I'm just looking at the comments below. You put the comments up, son. I'm just watching them. Do you know what I mean? I'm reading them. I'm just responding. Do you know what I mean? I'm being a host.
No, you're thinking Luke Chambers.
It's that wide player, isn't it? The wide players. Where who do you play?
You could play anybody.
Stephen Ward. Stephen Ward. 11 players of Stephen Ward. There you go, done.
Fuck off. Don't even start me, man. Can you imagine me play Stephen Ward just off the striker? Do you imagine the sort of stroke I'd have Saturday at 12:45? I'd be nuts. I think
Edwards needs to up his game as well, doesn't he? He's been shocking. Since his injury, he had blistering start, 5 goals and all that. He needs to come back into form. I think he needs to do a bit more. Do you know what? I would go Bennett's on the right. I think he's more further forward. I think he's a bit further forward thinking. He likes to get the ball and attack.
He's another one that's been absolutely shocking, isn't he?
Edwards on the left. Sorry?
Bennett's, he's another one who's been absolutely shocking recently. He can't cross a ball to save his life.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's the type of player, right? If you got him to play noughts and crosses with you, he would always want to be noughts because he cannot fucking cross.
You're right. I said to Crunchy the other day. He reminds me of Gus Ulenby. He had all the pace, Gus had all the pace, but you asked for a cross, and it was like, nah, you're right. But I don't know. I think look, the trouble is the players that we had the other day they let us down. They let us down so badly. It was awful. So I'm reluctant to play near them. Really, I think Jackson's got to start, hasn't he? He's our only, natural striker. But who do you play alongside him? Drilling?
Well,
no.
Do you know what? I wouldn't even start Jackson up top on his own at all.
No.
I'd rather have Drilling
no.
there. I think Drilling came on the other night. I thought he did more in that 10-minute cameo that he had than Buddy Jackson did all night. Really. He just does not look interested about playing for this club whatsoever, Jackson. I don't know why, because he's got his wish. He's back in the side. Lambert's gone because, if he was still here, he'd still be in the reserves. So you'd think that he'd have a rocket up his arse and want to play for this club, but he doesn't. Even if he wanted a big move, because he wants his big move, don't you? He wants to go to Huddersfield or wherever he wants to go. But you can only do that if you're playing football. You can't do it in the reserves.
You're spot on. No. It's a what have you done for me lately business, and he's in danger of not doing anything. So clubs will look at him and go, well, "What have you done lately?" Because there'll be the next hot ticket down the road who's been banging them in that clubs will take a fancy to. He's in real danger, Caden Jackson. For me, in my opinion, he's got to pull his socks up and really sort of, next 10 games at least deliver something that makes the world know who he is again, reminds them, who he is or what he's done. But yeah, I wouldn't even start him up front on his own. It's a waste of time. Waste of his time, my time, their time, everyone's time. Don't bother.
I'm going to go with Tux on this. And the reason why is I think if we play Bish alongside Judge or are just off Drinnan, I think there could be some goals. But we've got to play Judge in that more central role. Bish with him, and maybe Drinnan and them two supporting him, because Judge can shoot. There's no two ways about it. He's got a good shot on him, but not from wide play. You can't. And I like I said, squeezing that midfield, and then maybe then that might be an option because Bish is a forward player. Judge is a forward-thinking player, and Drinnan runs his socks off. It's a bit headless chicken, though. That's the only thing, I don't know. Look, I see why people look at him and think, one or two sort of think, oh yeah, there's a player in there somewhere. I think it's got to come out. I think there could be a player in there. I would, thinking about it, I would play Drinnan. Yeah, I would, drop Jackson. After you're right, Tux, after Tuesday, he shouldn't.
Hopefully. By the way, I don't rate Drinnan whatsoever at all because he's that kind of budget striker that you sign. Who said, was it you, Mike, the other night? Who said something about the £1 loan bargain bin? Right, he is that player. He is that player, right? But give me some effort, and Drinnan does that. If you're going to be like Jackson with a little bit of ability and not give me any effort, I'd rather have players and give me some effort.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The minimum you want is effort. He's playing for the shirt, playing for the cause. That's the minimum you want. So, yeah, absolutely.
It's all without again.
I don't think so. Well, he was having back spasms, wasn't he? Yeah. I don't know if he still is. If he isn't, I'm not he'll be bad.
If he can't stay fit, he's another player who needs to go at the end of the season. I'm sorry, I've just had enough of him as well. He's a good little player. Look, if we'd have had a fit Norwood all this season, I think we'd have had more goals. But we so desperately need goals.
Carl Brooks, Drinnan's the striker you sign on Football Manager when you main to have got injured in your first game. No, Drinnan's the striker you sign because you've wasted your budget on every other position and you realised, shit, I haven't got a third striker. So the only one you can afford is Aaron Drinnan. Right, score predictions then before we bring on to our last topic for this weekend. Score, Mike?
I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Ipswich. I just think that there's a 2-0 victory here to be had, but it all depends on the personnel we put out.
Okay, Tux.
As I said before, I think the best we can get is a score draw, but I think my actual score prediction will be 2-1 Pompey, I think.
Okay. Lee Anderson, back spasms because he's carrying the whole team when playing. The Karate Ant, could Parrott be a target man? Hold the watch, bring in the 3. Jacob, Norwich to try his. Jesus Christ, Jacob. Got me. You got me. Lee Bayless, what is Runnan's role? Is it as a striker to score, to run like a headless chicken? Well, this is it. Well, last topic is the England squad. And very quickly, I'll grab both of your thoughts on no Trent Alexander-Arnold in the England squad. How do we feel on that one? Tuck, kick us off.
I think, obviously Southgate's got to look at some of these players he hasn't quite seen playing as from a national point of view yet. I don't think obviously Liverpool played very well recently. I think Alexander-Arnold will go to the World Cup, obviously, to the Euro, sorry. But you just need to look at other players. I think one player that I said on Twitter earlier it's a good call up is Ollie Watkins. He's had a really good season with Villa, and it's good to see players getting in on form. And that's what I've always liked about Southgate. With Hodgson before he'd pick his favourites, he'd pick his sort of has-beens and stuff like that. But Southgate actually just, he's not afraid to play the kids, and he's not afraid to play players that are on form. So, I'm really optimistic about heading into the Euros, and it'll be good to see these fixtures in March to see how we get on.
Absolutely, Mike. Carl Brooks, can't believe Chambers isn't in the English squad over Walker. To be honest.
Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not had the best of seasons, has he?
No one in Liverpool shirt has, though.
Brilliant player, but he has struggled. Look, it's a friendly, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
we got a friendly. Yeah, it's just friendly. I'm not taking much notice of the squad. If that was a World Cup qualifier or we were, World Cup squad, I'd be questioning it. But I'm not really bothered. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a fan of Southgate anyway. If I'm honest, FA yes man for me. But yeah,
perfect. Love it. Right.
We've not won anything with England yet, so until we do, then it's no better than what we've had in the past, has he really?
True. Stuart says 2-0 Town. Nick Muller says Ipswich 2, Portsmouth 0. Neil's gone for a 1-1. We've got a 4-0 from OJW20, who's had a lot of Bart love this evening in the chat. So OJ, I've been with you. Love Bart. Wish we still had him. Ashley Bell's gone for 1-0 Town. I do love it when the chat is overly sort of optimistic. David 3-2 Portsmouth. Cheers, David. Bring us down. Harry's gone 3-0 Portsmouth. Love it. Luke's gone 2-0 Portsmouth. Okay, well, I spoke too soon then, didn't I? Victoria's gone 2-0 Portsmouth. Perfect. Well, whatever happens, we'll be with you every step of the way. It is an earlier kickoff Saturday. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff. So we'll be live from 12:30 for the match day ticket. Joining me is Royalty, King Cali, and the Don, Rob Davies. But gentlemen, Peaky, Fisherman, thank you both so much for your time this evening. For those watching at home, thank you so much. For those that have subscribed this evening and in previous weeks, thank you all. We are over 2,000. I'm so excited. And I can already see Crunch has set a new target. Oh, the ever-evolving will. We do love it. Until next time, with love, with care. See you soon.